All right, Tuesday night on the Krug Show, Raj from RSF 49ers is in the house. It's one of my favorite streams of the week. Let's go. We got a lot to get to right here, right now. Let's go. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, right along the Monterey Peninsula. Go say hi to my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And this live stream is sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. We've done it a bunch this year. Download the app below. Make sure you use that promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered into a drawing to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall number 14 jersey in red. We'll announce the winner in our post-game show after Super Bowl 59, which, who knows, might be the Jaden Daniels post-game show. We'll find out. But there is the Ricky Pearsall jersey right there, number 14, autographed by Ricky. And everyone who signs up is in a drawing to win that thing, and we will auction it off, or I should say raffle it off on Super Bowl Sunday in our postgame. So good luck to everybody. Thanks to Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, we're off and running. Raj, good to see you, man. You got the Trent Williams hat going today.
Trent Williams, yeah, the residency hat. You know, I love the residency hat. We got to put the Brock Purdy pin on there. So how's it going, Larry? How you been, man?
Oh man, I've been great. It was a terrific weekend. I made 4 wagers this weekend and hit 3 of them. I took the Chiefs to the under in Chiefs Texans, winner. I took the over in Commanders Lions, but tied it to the Lions, and that's what burned me. Otherwise, I had the over, but I didn't have the right team. And then I went on Sunday. I said, you know what? I can't pick these games as far as the spreads. So I'm just going to pick the winner. And I went with the Eagles and the Bills. And I said to my 14-year-old, like, give me your winners. Who's going to win today? And he's like, Dad, it's going to be the Eagles and the Bills.
Nice.
And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go money line Eagles Bills. So that one. And then Kev and I both went on Ohio State minus 9.5, or minus 9, I should say.
9, yeah, it was 9.
Last night in the national championship game, they were up by 8.
Yeah.
And all they needed was a couple first downs, and they could run out the clock. And I thought I for sure lost. I'm sitting there on the couch going, I lost. Once Notre Dame got the 2-point conversion, I'm like, oh, they made it an 8-point game. They're either going to get a stop or Buckeyes are going to get like 2 first downs, and they're gonna run out the clock. And they went up top to Jeremiah Smith. Is that his name?
Yeah,
the receiver, and he makes the catch,
wide open.
And then they wind up kicking the field goal at the very end to make it 11-point game. So I won.
My friend got him plus. He took Notre Dame plus 11, so he pushed. I was like, wow, like right to the end. It's unbelievable how these spreads are sometimes so.
They're so on the money. I mean, it just shows how good Vegas is. But yeah, we beat Vegas 3 times this weekend. I've had an unbelievable run here in college and pro football. I've hit almost every bet since the college football playoff. I've missed one here, one there. But Kev is consistently handing me cash at the end of each week when we settle up.
It's impressive. It's impressive, Larry. Good job.
Yeah,
good.
There you go. So I'm feeling good. Feeling good, winning gambling, and loving doing the YouTube channel, and we're having a great time. And why don't we start right here with we'll get right into it. And that was, we got some news today. And the news was that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers brass and their front office is of the belief, Raj, that Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, is going to be taking the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job, which, according to people in the know, might be down to Liam Cohen or Robert Saleh. And so if Cohen gets that job, that means Saleh's not going to get that job. And that probably means that unless Saleh is the Cowboys coach, and I don't think he is, because I think Kellen Moore is their first choice. Is he the Raiders coach? I don't think he is, because I think the Raiders might go old school and Pete Carroll. So I don't think Saleh's going to the Raiders, and I don't think he's going to the Cowboys. So I think it was going to be Jacksonville or another year as a DC. And you know what? It makes sense for Jacksonville to go with Liam Cohen. They have Trevor Lawrence. He's not been successful. They should go with an offensive coach, you would think, to try to get the most out of that investment. And so Cohen to me makes sense over Saleh for Jacksonville. What do you think? What do you think of that story? You think that means Saleh's coming to the Niners?
I 100% agree that Cohen would be the best chance for the Buccaneers in terms of head coach, because they got the
Jacksonville,
Jacksonville, yeah, because they got the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. You spent a lot of money on this guy. Look what he did with Baker Mayfield. Like, he took Baker in Tampa Bay, and he really turned him into a really good quarterback. And against all the people that doubted him and Baker, because of Cohen, has really stepped up his game. And I think Jacksonville is looking for that offensive quarterback, because I think they know they have pieces on the offense. They got the wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., hell of a rookie season. They got some players, and they need to really get what they can get out of Trevor Lawrence, because they're in this situation where they paid him. They're not going to get another quarterback. They're not going to go draft anybody. So they have to make Trevor Lawrence work. And I think because of that, that's why he is the leading candidate, according to all the reports out there. It makes total sense. I mean, I know Saleh has the history with Jacksonville. He's coached there before. He's a defensive guy, and he could really fix that defense. But you can fix that defense all you want. If you don't have a capable offense, it doesn't matter. Look what happened with the Jets, with Saleh. He was so good. That defense was amazing, but they didn't have the quarterback situation, and it fell apart. So I feel like they don't want a repeat of what happened when he was with the Jets. And I think Cohen would give them, it's more attractive because of Trevor Lawrence. So for the 49ers, that's amazing, because the 49ers have put in all their eggs in one basket, Larry, for Robert Saleh. They've, all these candidates have been hired. Jeff Ulbrich, right? Dennis Allen.
Atlanta, Lou Anarumo, Indy.
Yeah, everybody's taking these coordinators. And
Jeff Ulbrich went to Atlanta.
Atlanta,
right?
Yeah. And all the dominoes are falling. And it's like, we're pulling our hair. We're like, oh my God, if Robert Saleh signs with the Jaguars, we're screwed with Brandon Staley as DC. So this is great news. I'm hoping Liam Cohen tomorrow, he has his interview on Wednesday. Nail that interview, please. Hit it out of the park. I'm praying for Liam. Go, Liam. You know what? Get that job over there.
Well, Dennis Allen went to Chicago. So he's the new DC there. And the Colts got Lou Anarumo. And the Hawaii linebacker Ulbrich went to join Raheem Morris again as Morris's defensive coordinator in Atlanta. So it's funny you said the Niners put all their eggs in one basket. Did they, or were they in like a Robert Saleh, Brandon Staley thing, and like if Saleh is available, are they just going to give Saleh the job, or are they going to start opening it up to other candidates? Well, I mean, is it possible they wanted Saleh so bad that they just didn't want to go down the road and send mixed signals that they wanted other candidates until they exhausted Saleh? I mean, if they wanted that, I mean, if this was their doing, well, and if they don't have a good plan B, they sure allowed a lot of these other top candidates to go other places. The question is, how much interest do they have in Ulbrich? How much interest do they have in Anarumo? How much interest do they have in Dennis Allen? I mean, we don't really know. And we really don't know, are they all in on Robert Saleh? It's funny because Kyle Shanahan told us at the presser, he's like, I'm willing to switch schemes. But it rang hollow to me, Raj, because he said that, but it was almost like he just wanted to say, hey, anything's possible. Like before we get into particulars and you guys start nailing me down on what we're looking for, anything's possible. Like, if he had just said that, that would have been one thing. But for him to be like, yeah, we're willing to switch the scheme, I don't know that that was totally a transparent statement. I get the feeling that the 49ers very much want to keep Chris Kasarik, want to keep their 4-3, their version of the 4-3, their wide 9 version of the 4-3. I know he said he was open to it, and I think that's the right answer and the right thing to say at the presser, but I just don't know if that was actually a genuine statement. What do you think?
Yeah, no, to an extent, maybe he does think about changing the scheme if he absolutely had to, which if he can't get his top target, which I think is Robert Salah. I think, like you said, put the eggs in the basket. I really do. I feel like that was their big target. Like, it's Robert Salah or bust. I think there are other options. Like, maybe again, we don't know how much interest he has in Ulbrich and Allen, and we never will know because they never really got to interview those guys. So I'm not saying that they missed opportunities. I'm sure there's other people. People have rumored, Eberflus, the guy that used to coach the Bears. There's other options.
Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, there's other guys, but I really think that they know that if they're going to keep this defense, and they still have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, guys that are pretty, successful in this wide 9. Like, you can get Robert Salah, and it won't have to be like a new situation. It's great. The team would be like, oh my God, Robert's back. And I think Kyle doesn't want to have to train anybody, and he wants someone that can stand alone and use and just say, hey, here's the defense. Go coach it, man. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's the problem with Sorensen was he was too green and he didn't, he needed a lot of hand holding. And that's why he had Staley to help him out, be his like right hand man. So I think Kyle's like, look, I just need a guy that could take this defense and run it. And I'm sure there are other options, but to me, the biggest option is Salah. And I think they said, based on all the reports, what everybody's saying, it's your job, Salah, if you want it. Yeah, I know you got these other interviews. We're going to respect it. Go do what you got to do. If you don't get it, the job is yours, my man. And I think that's what it comes out to. There's reports saying they're willing to make him the highest paid DC. They're willing to do this. They're willing to do that. I really think Kyle's like, look, man, please come back. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I don't necessarily think money's the biggest issue because he's still getting paid from the Jets. Now, if you take a Jaguars job, that money's going to go a little further because there's no state tax, and head coaching job money is a little bit better than defensive coordinator job. But I don't think it's about the money necessarily. But I think Salah does want to prove himself as a head coach. So he's going to take these opportunities. If he does get a head coaching job and they say it's yours, I think he will take it because he's, got a little sour taste in his mouth from that Jets, job where they got rid of him. And I'm sure he's laughing at him because they fell apart when he left. So I think definitely he wants to be a head coach, but I think the 49ers are saying, hey, look, man, we're your top choice. You're our guy. Please come here. And ultimately, again, if Liam Cohen gets that job, I'm on the same page as you, Larry, that I don't think he's going to the Cowboys. I don't think he's going to the Raiders. So that eliminates all the opportunities for head coaching. Now, the only other possibility, because I've heard rumors, is the Lions taking Salah, the Michigan guy. They're losing Aaron Glenn as their DC.
Where's he going?
Imagine that the Lions say, hey.
Where's Aaron Glenn going? Jets?
Going to the Jets, yeah, most likely. There's like pretty much they're saying. So let's say Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets and then Salah gets snaked by the Lions. That's the only way I feel that this doesn't happen if Salah doesn't get a head coaching job. But I really think the Niners are going to say, man, we'll make you the most highest paid defensive coordinator in the land.
Did he have a year left on his deal with the Jets? Is there offset language here? I mean, like, if he comes to the Niners and the Niners offer him X number of dollars, is there offset language here? Is he getting, like, if the Niners pay, if he made $6 million for the Jets and the Niners sign him for $7 million, don't the Jets, how does that work? Are the Jets off the hook for the money?
I think they still, from what I understand, I mean, I haven't looked at the whole thing, but yeah. My last understanding is the Jets are still paying him money, and I think they still will pay him money, according to my last, take a look at the situation. But I'd have to review that again. But from my understanding, Larry, maybe they'll, clarify it in the comments because people know everything out there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the Jets still have to pay him, even if he gets a job somewhere. It's pretty nice.
So I think we've pegged this right. I think Kellen Moore's going to Dallas. I think you're right. Aaron Glenn's probably going to the Jets. And it is interesting. I mean, now Detroit, a year after Philly had to change out both their coordinators, now Detroit's got to get rid of, got to replace their two coordinators, and their offensive coordinator is a star. So, and Campbell isn't necessarily the OC or the DC, so they're really in need. I guess money would talk on some level if the Niners offered, the most money. You would have to probably offer quite a bit more just because of the California tax burden and everything that goes along with that. Is there a surprise DC candidate? Is it Eberflus? Is it Deshae Townsend? Is there somebody out there that we haven't necessarily mentioned or that has not been connected to this job that you think potentially could be out there and be a candidate? Or do you think it's really just Robert Saleh?
I think 90% chance is I think a 90% chance it's Saleh. That's the guy. But I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure there's other candidates. There has to be. You can't just say it's Robert Saleh and not have any other interest in plan B, plan C, because there is an opportunity for Saleh to get a head coaching job. They can't be that stupid, Larry, that they wouldn't have another option. There has to be. I know Deshae Townsend was another guy they looked into. To me, that's more of a Rooney Rule type interview, but I feel like he does have an opportunity. There's Brandon Staley, which a lot of people are saying. I know there's got to be someone else out there, but we don't know because there really has only been 2 interviews. And when Kyle talked last week is the 2 interviews, and yeah, Brandon Staley's considered. That's all we know right now. But I would bet there has to be another candidate. There has to be. Like, you can't just go into this situation without having another plan. But I feel like last year they tried to get over like big time guys, right? We saw reports that came out after the season. They went after Spags, they went after Belichick, they went after Ulbrich, but none of those panned out. So they kind of went to plan, I guess, D with Sorensen. That there has to be another guy this year because you can't go into what happened last year and then have to basically settle for your last pick. There has to be another.
Why have people been so over the top negative on Brandon Staley? He's been a defensive coordinator for 1 year with the Rams, and they had a really good defense that year. That wasn't the year they won the Super Bowl, but they did finish really high in total defense the 1 year he was there. What is it about? I mean, Staley, I interviewed him. I don't find anything fraudulent about the guy. When I say that, I mean, it's not like, the guy's a fucking idiot and it's like nobody knows. He's not. I can tell. He's very bright. You know what I mean?
He's a smart guy.
He's not a dumb guy. He's bright. And, Demo Lenore at one point said, man, he's the Kyle Shanahan of defense. Remember that? That was earlier this year.
In the training camp, he was teaching all the cornerbacks, and
right.
And I remember Demo posted it and this and that, and it was a story.
And supposedly he worked with corners, and Renardo played pretty well this year. I thought almost as a rookie played more like a veteran corner than almost any rookie I'd seen at that position. And I don't know how much of that is just his skill and his talent, and how much of that was Brandon Staley. I guess I understand why people would be like, what did Brandon Staley do this year? Okay, that's fair. Or I can see people going, why Brandon Staley, look at the Chargers last year, look at the Chargers this year. I'm not super excited. I get that, but I'd love to know why the over-the-top negativity, like Brandon Staley has had, numerous defenses that were really lowly ranked, and that there's statistical proof that he can't do it. I don't think that proof exists. So Smith here says Staley was number 1 defense during the COVID year.
So
okay.
I mean,
okay.
To me, the reason why I think people are so gun shy on Brandon Staley, I mean, I am. I would be upset if it's Staley because I feel like he doesn't have a lot of greatness. Like, he hasn't done a great job for a long time. And again, going to what we want a guy that we feel inspires this team and can hold his defense accountable. And you don't have to worry about, and the thing about Staley is the last time we remember Staley was when he was the head coach of the Chargers. And I get it. DC is different from the head coach. It's a lot of different responsibilities, but the last memory we have of Staley was not good. He made poor decisions. He was just making bad calls. It was a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Like, the memories of Brandon Staley coaching that Chargers team were awful. So I feel like that's what people see when they see Staley. Like, yeah, he's had some moments. He was a good defensive coordinator for the Rams. 100% he was. But like they said, it was a COVID year. It's a weird year. You kind of put an asterisk there. I really think that it's because we haven't seen enough from him. And when we saw him last, he was making bad decisions with the Chargers. So I feel like that's the fear. I would be afraid. I'm not going to lie to you. If Brandon Staley is the DC, I'm be a little concerned, Larry.
You won't be alone. I mean, I'll say that. Okay, here's another idea. I mean, tell me what you think of this idea. And I don't know anything about this guy at all, other than the fact that I like what I see out of his defense, and I like the way his young defensive players progressed, and I like his last name. Why not pick off Chris Shula from the Rams? Now, could you? He is their defensive coordinator. Is that the reason you can't pick him off? Because he's the defensive coordinator, and you'd have to make him the defensive coordinator, head coach. But we're talking about a young coach, and they had Braden Fisk. They had, they had Jared Verse.
Yeah.
They had some young players. I mean, the last their entire defensive front is made up of guys that are in their first or second year. Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse. They got an awful lot out of Ahkello Witherspoon. Man, they got Cam Kinchins to play pretty well. Man, that Ram defense kind of came together kind of fast. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you could get him, but I'd be very interested in talking to him. That's for sure. Because look at the turnaround in L.A.
Yeah, I hate to agree, but the Rams defense was unbelievable this year, and they're going to be good for a while because that defensive line, you mentioned it, Fisk and Verse, holy smokes, they were good. And that's why I feel like it's so much more prudent that the Niners get a good offensive line because they got to compete against those guys, and they're only going to get better. They were rookies this year, Larry. Those Florida State boys were balling. We saw them in the playoffs, killing it. Made Lane Johnson look silly. So, they got a good defensive system. Their defensive coordinator is great. But I think you're right. You can't really go from one team to another as defensive coordinator. You'd have to get a little bit of a, increase in salary. And if they're going to pay him all that money, that's the money you want to pay Robert Salah. So I don't think he'd leave the Rams to come to the rival Niners. That'd be crazy unless they give him like assistant head coach type situation. Where I don't think so.
It looks good for Salah to the Niners as we sit here on the 21st of January. We'll find out more in the next 72 hours. There was some other Niner news today. Ronnie Bell is now a Detroit Lion, and Cam Latu was signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Once again, the same reason I don't think Ronnie Bell's a fit in San Francisco is the exact same reason I do think he's a good fit in Detroit. Wide receivers have to complement one another. You can't have a room full of guys with 4.2 speed but no route running ability, and you can't have a bunch of slow guys who can't run. You got to have guys that complement one another. Now, the Lions have Jameson Williams, and he's a 4-3 burner, and he's going to create all the space you need. And they have Amon-Ra, who can get deep, and they've got a great receiving tight end in Laporta. They need more, great, sure-handed, chain-moving. I'll throw this guy the ball, he'll catch it. And that's what Ronnie Bell is in theory, is he's not a burner. He's got great ball skills, even though he's got a high-profile drop this year that Niner fans remember well. But outside of that one drop, I mean, I kind of felt like he regressed a little bit this year, so I don't mind him moving on. And I kind of like the kid from Berean Christian more. I like Hodgins. I like Isaiah Hodgins more than I like Ronnie Bell. So I got no problem with the Niners moving off of Ronnie Bell. He's not a fit for the Niners, but on a team that has vertical threats like Jameson Williams, I think he's a good fit. So I think Ronnie Bell to Detroit makes sense. Now, the Niners need to go find a speedster, somebody with big-time vertical speed who can get deep. But I think this makes sense because Ronnie Bell is just a redundant part on the Niners. If you're going to have JJ, Pearsall, Debo, you don't need Ronnie Bell if you got those guys. You need a burner.
Yeah, I agree. I think Niner fans were a lot of them laughed at the signing, and a lot of them where we're like, goodbye, finally getting rid of him. Because he did cost the Niners some games with the drops, and, he regressed. And I think the big picture of losing Cam Latu and Ronnie Bell is those were two draft picks that missed, absolutely. And there's been a lot of misses, especially Cam Latu, the 3rd round pick. That was a blunder of a pick. And it's like you look back at some of those drafts, man, the Niners have to hit in this draft class because last year they hit pretty good. It was a very solid class. This next one, they have to have another repeat of last year's class. You can't have Ronnie Bell. You can't have Cameron Latu coming through the door. Ronnie Bell, hopefully he rebounds and he has a good second part to his career. I think he could work in in Detroit. He's a Michigan guy. Maybe he needs that, fresh start. Sometimes players just need a refresher, a new start, hit the reset button. So I don't wish any ill will on Latu and Ronnie Bell. Hopefully they can figure it out, but with the Niners, they're absolutely bust pick, and the Niners have to hit in this draft. And to me, that's the theme of losing these players. We've lost a lot of players. Sometimes we lose them, Larry, and then they become solid somewhere else. Look at Sam Womack. This guy, they got rid of him. They didn't want him anymore. He was very solid with the Colts. So I'm sure.
How about DJ Reed?
Absolutely. So
it happened. I mean, if you're an old time Niner fans who remember this guy, Wesley Walls. They drafted him in like the second or third round. He was a bust with the Niners, and he went to Carolina and he had a really nice career.
He's a good tight end. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. So, sometimes guys just need a change of scenery. Sometimes people just need to, fail or, be rejected before they really work hard. Maybe that's the deal. I'll say this, though. I don't believe Cam Latu is going to have another chapter in Philly. I just don't think he's good enough. I don't think the hands are good enough. I don't think the route running's good enough. I don't see, he's not an embarrassment. He's a pro athlete, but he's not there in a year where the tight end draft is stacked and there's going to be guys in every round and after the draft who are way better than Cam Latu. I'm surprised Philly signed him.
Yeah, I know. They signed they also signed the receiver we released, Danny Gray.
Danny Gray. They love ex-Niners.
They love those ex. They like taking our leftovers, kind of like the Raiders used to. They used to always take our leftover players. Good for them. Let's hope they survive out there.
Good luck to you, Philly. Good luck to you. You're going to lose this weekend, I think, but good luck to you.
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a minute. This live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get the first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered into a drawing to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. We will announce the winner on Super Bowl Sunday. All right, let's do a better lineup for the week. Let's take a look. We only have 2 games that we can choose from. So which one do you want to go for first, Raj? Washington, Philly, or Buffalo, KC?
Washington, Philly, man. I hope JD5 and the Commanders take care of business.
All right, let's take a look at Daniels. Let's take a look at Daniels' numbers and his projections. 273 passing yards, 224 passing yards, 54 rushing yards, 281 pass and rush yards. Philly's got the number 1 D. 21.5 completions, 32.5 pass attempts.
Whew.
Do you think he's throwing a pick? Half an interception?
30. Last time they played Larry, he threw 5 touchdowns and
2 picks.
2 picks, yeah. So I could see him having a big game. I mean, if the Commanders want to win, it's all going to be on JD5. He's got to have a big game. So you either believe in him or you don't. If you believe in him, you're going to win your bet. If you don't, you ain't going to win your bet. So I think he's going to have a game, Larry. I think he's going to throw. I want to say he's going to throw 2 touchdowns at least. I think a pick's definitely in the cards because the Philadelphia Eagles have a good secondary. They have a great defense. Vic Fangio has really turned that defense into something special. I wish we would have got him, but I don't know. What say you? What do you think? What are you looking at?
Wow, it's tough. I'm not really sure on this one. I mean, I guess I would. The rushing yard seems like a lot, but he does
the longest run. The longest run, 15.5. You think he'll get like a 20-yarder? You think he'll break a big run?
I don't know. Philly, Zach Bond is so fast on that second level. He kind of shuts everything down.
He does. But I think JD5 has a big play in him, at least.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. If you don't want to take JD5, we'll go.
No, I want to take him. Let's go with longest pass.
Longest pass.
What's that? 35?
34.5? 35?
I don't know, man. I don't know. How do you feel about it? I mean,
I think he's good for both of those. I think he's going to have some big ass plays, Larry. I don't know. I believe in JD5, man. He's calm. Did you see him that game? Like the lights weren't too bright. He's in Detroit, the number 1 team, and he just looks so calm. You can't rattle the guy. I know it's Philly, and those fans are wild. But JD5, he's a calm guy. I don't know. I would take it, but
let me see his game log. Let me take a look at what he's done. Okay, so we're talking pass attempts. Yeah, I like it. I like the pass attempts. What's the pass attempt number again?
Pass attempts is completions 21.5.
Yeah, let's go over that. Let's go over that. Let's go over pass completions. Why do I say that? Because I'm looking at his football card, and he has completed 22, 24 in the playoffs the last 2 weeks.
I think he's going to have some big plays.
24, 24, 25, 25, 25, 22. What'd you say that number is?
21.5. I think he.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like that. Last time he played against Philly, he had 22 completions.
I'm telling you, he's going to go crazy.
I like it. I like it. I'll take Daniels.
Throw regardless, he's going to have to throw. So he's going to, whether he has a good game or not, he's going to have to throw a lot.
Let's go with that one, and let's go with who else do we want? Let's go Sainristil still.
Okay.
Mikey Sainristil still. He's really
played
good.
Great last week, man.
He's playing good.
He did
3.5 solo tackles for Sainristil still. It's interesting. How about Jalen Hurts? Let's take a look at Jalen Hurts because I think he's banged up.
Tush push merchant.
Jalen Hurts, you can go 183 passing yards, 29.5 rushing yards. I would say give me 29.5 rushing yards less. Ooh. He's got a bad knee. He's not going to run for 30 yards.
I don't think so.
Let's go less on that.
What about Saquon?
You want us to go Saquon? Let's take a look at Saquon. Yeah, we'll go 4 this time. We'll go 4. Well, Saquon, let's see what Saquon looks like. 146 rushing, receiving.
That's big. Longest
run, longest catch.
Let's see. He's been balling. Last game he had 205 yards rushing last game. Good night. That big 70-yarder, that was incredible.
Yeah, this is a tough one to handicap.
This is a tough one.
Let's see.
How many receiving targets did he get last game?
Saquon Barkley. Let's see what his football card looks like. See what his game.
Looking at his stats right now.
Got 25 and 26 carries the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. 25, 26, and he had 31 before that. He had 29.
What's the carries?
The carries on this is rushing attempts 24.5.
Let's go over. Let's go over that. Okay. Why? Because Hurts is hurt, and they're going to hand it to Saquon a lot. And they ran the hell out of it. Against Washington, he had 29 for 150 in December. In the first one, he had 26 for 146. So they're going to run him 25 times for sure.
Especially, if Hurts is banged up, you're going to have to feed Saquon. I agree.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like that.
I like the pick.
Okay. You want to go one more, or you want to go 3 for 3?
Yeah, let's go to Buffalo, Kansas City.
Let's get a Buffalo, Kansas City one.
In this game.
I don't know about any of these.
Take a look at Kansas City. I want to see what they got. Travis Kelce. He's money in the playoffs. I hate it.
Let's take a look at Kelce because they're going to need Kelce.
Yeah.
Kelce, 6.5 receptions.
I think that's
you know what? How about this? I think he's a lock. Let's take a look here. Wait. I think he's a lock for 10 targets.
I think so. Yeah.
The targets is really because you can't control what he's going to do exactly, but the targets, let's see what he's been targeted. Let me check Kelce's game log. He was targeted
8 times last game.
How many?
He had 8 targets before, but in the regular season,
8 targets in each of the last 2 games, and then he had 11. Yeah, he's been targeted a lot, and he's got double-digit targets 6 times this year.
And in the playoffs, they just feed Kelce, man. Yeah. He's good for that. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, let's go Kelce over the targets. All right. I think we're good.
Right,
let's see what we got. We got 4 picks to win 10. We're going to try to go 4 for 4 here. Let's see what we got. 4 to win 200.
Oh, I think we won last week too. I was looking at the
So
card.
Jaden Daniels, we have more. He's got to have 22 completions or more. Jalen Hurts has got to have under 29 rush yards or under 30 rush yards.
Yeah.
He can have 29. Saquon Barkley's got to have 25 rush attempts, which I think is a lock. And Kelsey's going to have 9.5 targets. So he's got to be targeted 10 times, which, with the money on the table, I think he'll probably be targeted that many times.
I think so.
So there we go.
All right. We'll see how it goes.
Once again, everyone who signs up, download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered into a free a drawing to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. We'll award that jersey on NFL Super Bowl Sunday. After Super Bowl 59, we'll auction that one off. All right. The story of the day, or one of the stories of the day, one of the happenings of the day, we should say, the 49ers signed Quindell Johnson, a safety who played with the Rams. He's an interesting guy from the standpoint of he's got pretty good ball tracking skills. He had a bunch of interceptions. It seems like the Niners have gone away from we want Tart, we want Jimmy Ward, we want guys who hit like linebackers to we want productive interceptors. That's what Tayshaun Gibson is. That's what Hufanga is. That's what Jair Brown is. And I don't know if they would ever admit it, but I think that their profile for what they're looking for in a safety now includes a productive interceptor, because Quindell Johnson had a bunch of picks in college. He also has one already in the NFL with the Bears. And, it seems like he's not a burner. He's a 4.55 40 guy. But he does have excellent ball tracking ability, and he definitely has the ability to intercept passes. He's done it in college. He's done it in the pros. So what do you think of that, though? Because the Niners they were better against the run when Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart were on the field, because they were like having two extra linebackers, and now they've gone for ball skills at safety, and they can't stop the run. So what do you think?
It's like you're going to have one or the other. But I think that they needed another depth at safety. And, who knows if he makes the roster or not. He's 90-man roster right now. But he'll definitely be in the mix for competition. I think he could be a special teamer. I think that's one route they want to improve. He could probably come in and play special teams. But you know what? If Hufanga's not back, they're going to really need somebody to step up. And maybe it's him. Maybe it's Quindell. And he's good in college. I also, was looking at him. He's a pretty sure tackler. They missed a lot of tackles this year, Larry. That was one of their biggest issues, was because they couldn't wrap up. And that's one of the reasons they couldn't stop the run, because they couldn't tackle. So you get a surefire tackler that can improve the situation. I think they really have to take a long, hard look at the safety department, because, they went for, guys like Tart and Ward, and those were guys that can hit you in the mountain. They were tacklers, but they gave up a lot of big plays, and they couldn't get the interceptions. That was the knock on those. I mean, we saw the NFC Championship. I don't want to bring it up, but Jaquaski Tart, right? Interception, you intercept that, whole different story. We probably won the Super Bowl that year, but, I don't want to bring that up again, although I did. But that's the thing. The Niners need a guy that can make plays in the secondary. They thought Jair Brown was going to be that guy, Larry, and he really wasn't. I remember in the Super Bowl, he got the pick on Mahomes, and everybody's like, oh, man, he's destined to be great. Second year this year, it wasn't that good. So maybe you put some pressure on those guys, and you get a guy that's hungry, and maybe he could crack this roster. So I think they definitely need some safety depth. There's definitely questions on Hufanga's coming back. We all love Malik Mustafa. He's going to be fantastic. But who else is going to be there at safety? And injuries are a thing, so you need depth. I think it was a low-risk, decent reward signing. Who knows? Maybe he'll get, a chance to crack this roster. If anything, he'll be on the practice squad next year, and he has a chance to kind of climb his way up the rankings. But I thought it was okay. It wasn't like, oh, man, this is the Super Bowl signing. But
right.
Futures reserve type guy. You throw it in the bank and you hope that he can contribute at some point.
The most interesting thing I saw about him was that the Rams did pay him the most of any of their undrafted players the year he came out. So they obviously had some belief that he was a pretty decent player. And he's a productive interceptor, and we'll see. They definitely need numbers at that spot. What was, in your mind, the most entertaining of the four games this weekend. What was the best game of the weekend?
There's some good ones. Honestly,
yeah, what'd you think?
I like the Commanders just because you see how good Jaden Daniels was, and just seeing him kind of come of age, and you're like, wow, that to me was probably one of my favorite games. And then the Rams-Eagles game, man, I love that game. That game was fun.
Great
in the
game.
snow. It was nasty. The Rams kind of were putting it, and then you were like, oh, man, here come the Rams. Here come the Eagles. Saquon bust the big run, but then the Rams still kind of came back towards the end. I enjoyed watching that one. The Bills-Ravens game I thought was going to be better, but it didn't really get good until the end. To me, my favorite game of the weekend was the Philly-LA game. That in the snow, that was wild. That was a good game.
Yeah, Saquon ran for 205. 205. I mean, he looked fantastic. And that last one was like, he was like, give me the ball. I'm taking it. And he just burst through that hole, and he was not going to be denied. I'll tell you the thing that stood out to me is John Harbaugh gets hailed as this great fucking coach. And I don't get it. I don't see it. I really don't. I mean, I know they won 12-5 and they're a good team and this and that. Let's talk ourselves through this one. They're in Buffalo against the MVP of the league, probably, in Josh Allen. Okay. On a cold, wintry day where, what was the degrees? 20, 15, something like that. It was cold.
Yeah, it was cold.
Really cold in Buffalo. You're playing in Buffalo in really, really cold weather. Your starting quarterback doesn't win in the playoffs. He's got a little bit of a bugaboo about winning in the playoffs. He's now 3-5 in the playoffs. You don't have his number one receiver, Zay Flowers. Okay? You're going up against a Bills team that didn't stop the run all that well. And you hand Derrick Henry the ball 16 times on a day when you don't have your number one receiver, it's freezing cold, and he's averaging 5 yards a carry, and you don't have your number one receiver. You have a dominant run blocking offensive line. You have a fullback. You have the NFL's Pro Bowl or all pro fullback, and it's a converted offensive lineman who weighs 300 pounds. You have a 300-pound fullback. You have a Hall of Fame running back. Justice Hill ran for 8.3 a carry. Lamar ran for 6.5 a carry. Derrick Henry ran for 5.3 a carry. The week before, he went for 185. And this game it wasn't like, well, you know what? They fell into a hole. They had to pass. No, they did not. It was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. It was 21-10 at halftime, but it was 21-21, or it was 21-19 going to the fourth quarter. It was a 2-point game going to the fourth quarter. And you hand Derrick Henry 16 carries? That's it? James Cook, who's not even that great of a running back, had 17 carries. And they weren't even running it well. Look at the difference, run pass, in those two teams. Buffalo came out, they passed it 22 times despite having the MVP, and they ran it 36 times despite having a back that probably only has like 200 or 300-yard days in his career. You have the Hall of Fame running back that just went for 185, and the Ravens passed it 25 times and they ran it 30 times. Why are they almost 50-50 run pass on a freezing day without Zay Flowers? And why are they putting the ball in Lamar's hands and saying win the game when you have this big bruising offensive line and maybe the power back of his era, and you don't have your number one receiver, and you pass the ball 25 times in a game that was super close throughout? I mean, idiocy. I think John Harbaugh has got to be one of the most overrated coaches of all time. I mean, this guy, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? Why is Derrick Henry getting 16 touches? Why? It's not like you couldn't run it. You're running it successfully with everybody. You don't want to hand Derrick Henry the ball 10 more times and have him with 185 yards and run for 2 bills. And I mean, you average 6 yards a carry and you passed it 25 times. Why? I need to know.
Yeah, no, I do think they made some bad decisions. Play calling was horrible. You got Derrick Henry, and you failed to use the guy that pretty much got you. And my take last week was Derrick Henry is going to be the reason they win this game. He was the X factor to me, and he became the X factor because he didn't use him a lot. But I don't think John Harbaugh is overrated. I think he's still a hell of a coach. I think he was trying to put it on Lamar, and he's their quarterback, and he's the MVP candidate, and he wanted him to win the game. But I also think that he overthought a lot. I think that's one of the reasons, but it also gives you an appreciation of McDermott and the Bills. They really had a good game plan, and they confused the Ravens. I think the turnovers really forced Harbaugh to get a little bit of a second guess of himself. I feel like he was pressing, and I think he got a little nervous and he panicked. And then you got to bringing up that game, Larry. You have to also bring up the fact that Mark Andrews absolutely sold on him. Like, come on, man. Like, you don't expect he's supposed to be one of the top tight ends. Everybody says he's one of the best tight ends in the league. Dropping those plays and fumbling the ball. Like, you got to also, Lamar made some big plays and he took accountability. He says, can't make those fumbles. I can't make those picks. Like, he made some bad plays. I agree with you. Derrick Henry should have been utilized 120 times more than he was. It's like the Niners. They kind of go away from their game plan sometimes. And unfortunately, it ended up in a bad loss for the Ravens. But turnovers were the key for them. And you cannot sit here and tell me that Mark Andrews wasn't a factor in that game. But yeah, I definitely think they should have ran Henry more. I mean, he pretty much was one of the main reasons they got there. But I'm not calling John Harbaugh overrated. There's no way. There's no way. He's that division every year.
I'm calling him overrated. 80% of the turnovers in the NFL come in the pass game. If you can't, when Kansas City got into the AFC title game last year in Baltimore against the Ravens, guess what they did? They just ran the ball between the guards. They didn't even run the ball between the tackles. They were just like, hey, you know what? Isaiah Pacheco up the gut. Why? Because we got Creed Humphrey. We got Joe Tooney. We got Nick Allegretti. We're really good inside. We're just going to run it down your throat. And that's what they did. But there's 80% of the turnovers in football come in the pass game. And if you're not running it, I get it. If you're not running it well, I get it. But you ran it well, and you're averaging almost 6 yards a carry, and you wound up passing the ball a lot in cold weather. And guess what? It's hard to handle the ball in cold weather, and you were -3 in turnovers. Here's the stat of the weekend. The 4 teams that won this weekend were +10 in turnovers. +10.
Yeah.
There was not one team that won this weekend that was trailing on the turnover margin. And the winning teams combined to be +10.
That's crazy.
So crazy. I think Jim and John are both kind of overrated. I think Jim's totally overrated because Jim is thought to be like some kind of offensive guru. And he's not an offensive guru. He's Bo Schembechler meets 2025. He's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. His offense, he's not a defensive coach. He's an offensive coach. So does he have an offense that produces tons and tons of points? No. They like to run the ball. But I mean, the Chargers are at home. The Ravens are at home. The Ravens lost the AFC Championship game last year at home. The ring that he's got is because his brother fucking gagged in Super Bowl 47, and instead of handing the ball to Kaepernick or handing the ball to your Hall of Fame running back Frank Gore, he decided to throw 3 fucking idiotic fades to Michael Crabtree and banging the ball off Vernon Davis's shoulder pads. I mean, Jim Harbaugh fucked up Super Bowl 47. I don't know that either guy won it. I mean, I think those guys, I think they're very overrated. Very
I remember that game screaming they should run the ball. Offensive coordinator was disgraced that game.
That was embarrassing.
That was embarrassing. The fact that they kept throwing that damn fade route to Crabtree, and it never worked. That play never worked for them. Every damn time you can count on fade to Crabtree, never fucking work. And that's why when Richard Sherman picked them off That's why you try me with the sorry. This is the same fade to Crabtree. Sherman knew it was coming. They never learned.
Unbelievable. Couple more topics before we get out of here. Okay. Demo Lenore came out and said that he wants Max Crosby on the Niners. And he basically just said, man, Max Crosby will look good in a Niner uniform. And of course he would. And of course it's never going to happen because Mark Davis would rather die than see Max Crosby play. Mark Davis would rather be banned from P.F. Chang's than see Max Crosby in a Niner uniform. Mark Davis would rather go and get a good haircut than see Max Crosby in a Niner uniform. I mean, the last thing that Mark Davis would ever sign off on is Max Crosby to the Niners. So we need not talk about it any longer. But what did you think of Demo putting that out there? I mean, it definitely made people want to talk.
I mean, I love the offseason because you got the recruiter, the players act as recruiters and they start throwing outlandish things. And we've seen it before. We've seen all types of players try to recruit other players throughout the years. This was just the next chapter in it. And man, I was like, oh, yeah, it would be nice. Max Crosby, Bosa, you got all the people making, the Photoshops and the jersey swaps. It was cool. I mean, definitely fun to fantasize about that, but I agree. I don't think it's going to happen. But man, oh man, Larry, could you imagine Nick Bosa, Max Crosby? Whew. I mean, what would it then you got to start thinking about what would it take with the Niners trade the 11th pick? But then it ultimately comes down to, you're right, Davis would never help the Niners out. So you just have to kind of squash it. But it was, for the day, a great thought, to at least have for a little bit.
Mark Davis would rather move in full-time to Circus than trade Max Crosby to the 49ers.
Yeah, for sure.
We can play this Mark Davis would rather. Okay, a couple last ones. This one caught my eye. This is kind of we'll finish with that one. Let's do this. Mike Silver tweets out some crazy shit.
I love him.
He really does. I mean, Mike Silver is all over the map.
Yeah.
But he did put out a Nick Sorensen he doesn't think Nick Sorensen is going to be the 49ers special teams coach, which made me happy when I saw that.
Me too.
I don't want to see any more glad handing. No more, let's just hire guys that are convenient. Let's hire guys that are buddies. Let's hire guys that make us comfortable. Let's hire guys that we kind of like. Can we just go get the best guys? I mean, everybody else goes and hires the best people. You've got the Chiefs have Mahomes and Chris Jones and Andy Reid. It doesn't stop Andy Reid from going and getting the best defensive coordinator and the best special teams coordinator. He still wants the best coordinator. So yeah, Kyle, you're a good offensive coach. But you hire a great defensive coordinator, hire a great special teams coordinator. I guess I was somewhat buoyed by the Silver tweet of no Sorensen because Sorensen as a special teams coach is only palatable because you're just happy that he's no longer the defensive coordinator. But if you actually have time to think about it, you're like, really? Do we really want this guy whose communication breakdown is what he said like 19 times when he was asked about different plays throughout just the communication breakdown? It's like, no, here's not a communication breakdown. You suck. Okay? And this is real clear communication. You're garbage. I don't see why they should hire him as the special teams coordinator. At first I'm like, well, he had done it before in Jacksonville. Okay. Then I looked up what he did in Jacksonville. They sucked. They were the worst special teams unit in the league. Get this guy far away from any meaningful decision-making position on this coaching staff. I don't care whose nephew he is. I don't care what pictures he has. I don't care who he is and who he knows. Come on, man. You can do better than Nick Sorensen.
You would hope so. I mean, he's interviewed a ton of candidates. I feel like all the candidates are better than Sorensen. I was happy when Silver tweeted that out because I'm like, okay, it gives me a little hope. But, on the other aspect of it, Matt Barrows has been saying he really thinks that Staley could be that ST, the special teams coordinator. So I feel like both of them have, their say on the matter, and it's more of their opinion. But I think they both know there is a possibility that Staley could be that guy because he's been, considered for that position. But the Niners have looked at other candidates. It's not like they haven't. So I feel like they got to go with one of those other guys. Pick the best one. And to yesterday, there was a lot of dominoes that fell. A lot of coaches, as we mentioned earlier, were hired. Fossil, right? Bones Fossil was one of the big-time special teams coordinators. He got snagged up, and I felt like he was a good candidate. But the 49ers, again, have already interviewed a ton. I feel like they're waiting on the Salah decision, and then they want to finalize all their coaches. I really think they're still waiting on that, because they could have hired Clay Kubiak already as their OC, but they did their interviews, but they haven't officially said Clay Kubiak. They haven't hired their special teams coordinator. I feel like they have things in place. There's a framework, but they're waiting to do the DC because they'll probably announce it all together. I feel like that's what they're kind of doing. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope tomorrow we get at least one of these coordinator jobs filled, but I don't know. Maybe they still are waiting on the DC position because that's the biggest one. But I agree with you, Larry. Nick Sorensen as special teams coordinator would be a travesty. I'd be sick.
Who is going to win this weekend? It's Commanders at the Link in Philly in the first game, noon kickoff on Sunday. Philly -6, over under 47.5 at the Link. And then the night game is 3:30 Pacific. Bills Chiefs at Arrowhead. KC -2, over under 47.5. Same over under on both games. Chiefs -2, Eagles -2. What do you got?
My heart tells me to go Commanders, Bills. That's what everybody wants to see. Well, not everybody. The majority of America wants to see Bills, Commanders, but I'm going to take Commanders, Chiefs for the Super Bowl. I just can't see the Bills beating the Chiefs twice in 1 year. To me, I just can't see it. It's going to be ridiculous. People are going to be upset. I think we're going to see Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, versus Patrick Mahomes, and that's going to be the story of the weekend. Can Jaden Daniels slay the dragon and pull off the upset of the century? I think that's what it's going to be. Or can Mahomes get the three-peat? I think that's what's going to be. Commanders, Bills, book it, Super Bowl. Or sorry, Commanders, Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm with you. I like the Commanders minus getting the 6 to win outright. I like the Commanders to win that game outright. They're playing better. Hurts is banged up. Eagles are really good. Commanders have the magic. Commanders are playing really well, and they're not feeling – you can kind of see the Eagles just lost Quindell Mitchell. Probably not going to play in this game. Jalen Hurts, probably not going to be 100% in this game. Commanders are rolling in with tons of enthusiasm, tons of energy, tons of good vibe, and I think they get it done. I like the Commanders to win that game. I want to root for the Bills, but I think you're right, Raj. I think the Bills' defense is just not quite good enough. I mean, they're good, not good enough, and the better defense is going to win here. And I like the Chiefs to win a slow-scoring game. I'll take the Chiefs. And Commanders on the money line, and I may even parlay it. Commanders, Chiefs on the money line, and then it's going to be Jaden Daniels in New Orleans, 50 miles away from where he played college ball in Baton Rouge.
That's right.
And that is going to be the Jaden Daniels return home. And I think the Commanders are going to beat the Chiefs and stand on top of the football world.
Wow.
Give me the Commanders. Give me the freaking Commanders.
First rookie quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Is he going to do it? What a guy.
He's going to do it.
I like stand on it. If they do, I want to see you stand on that.
I am standing on it.
I love it.
I'm 6'2", but standing on this, I'm 6'2.5". Yeah, give me the Commanders over the Eagles. Give me the Chiefs over the Bills. Give me the Commanders over the Chiefs. All right, let's finish with one last topic here. And this one I brought up today on KNBR. And this was a stat that I saw on Twitter. Unfortunately, on the radio side, I couldn't show the stat because we don't have that ability on the radio. But on this, I can. And so let me do that. Let me share the stat. You probably saw this. You see everything.
Maybe.
So here we go. This was Dove Kleiman who put this out. Do you follow Dove?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do.
Okay, I think he's out of Denver. Anyway, he's like 4 teams in the NFL have a fourth down conversion rate above 70%. Those 4 teams are the Commanders, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. What do you make of that? Here is the chart. The Commanders convert 87% of fourth downs into firsts. Number one in the league. Far and away number one.
Yeah.
Bills, 72.7, number 2. Chiefs, 70.6, number 3. Eagles, number 4, 70.4. All four of those teams are the four teams still alive. They're the four best teams at converting fourth downs into firsts. Okay, let's go further down the list. Look at the top 10 or 11 teams in this stat. Commanders made the playoffs. Bills made the playoffs. Chiefs made the playoffs. Eagles made the playoffs. Broncos made the playoffs. Falcons didn't, but the Rams did. The Lions did. The Bucks did. The Chargers did. And the Texans did. So of the top 11 teams in fourth down conversion rate, 10 of them made the playoffs. And the four best of them are still alive. Now let's look at the bottom of the teams the worst in the league. Cowboys, 35%. Steelers, 38.9%. Titans, 39.1%. Jets, 41.7%. Cardinals, 44.6%. Vikings, 46.2%. Basically, if you look, the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the bottom 8 or 9 teams, there's only like 2 playoff teams in there. And the Niners, by the way, are 24th in the NFL. They convert 50% exactly. The Niners and the Packers are tied. They both convert exactly 50% of their fourth downs into firsts. And to me, this is really interesting from the standpoint of, look at, this is the new modern football. You have to be able to go for it on fourth down, and you have to be able to convert and stay on the field. I tweeted this out, and I said 9 of the top 10 teams in this stat made the playoffs, and the 49ers are only at 50%. They need to improve significantly this year in this area. Message to John Lynch 49ers, beef up the interior of the O-line. I suggest a couple guys, Marcus Ware, Tyler Booker. Get a more powerful fullback. I suggest a guy. I go with J.J. Pegues, who's a defensive lineman. Get an elite contact balance running back. I suggested a guy, Kyle Monangi from Rutgers, who can push the pile and start going for it more often on fourth and less than 5 and convert. The best teams are all doing this. This is a major adjustment. I think that Shanahan, a new way of thinking that the Niners, this is at the core of where the Niners need to focus their rebuild. Do they need to rebuild the O-line? Yeah. Do they need to rebuild the D-line? Yeah. Linebackers, other spots. They've got to be better right here. They have to be better running the ball in the low red zone. They have to be better on short yardage. They have to be better on the goal line. You can't pass the ball inside the 5-yard line and expect to have success. You have to be able to run the ball. The Niners turned it over too much this year, and they also passed it too much in the red zone. There's no room in the red zone. So every tipped ball is a potential interception, and 80% of the turnovers come in the pass game. You have to be able to take the ball out of the air, and when you're inside the 5-yard line, power it in. Get a bigger, more powerful center and push the pile. Get a contact balance running back with strong legs and push the pile. Get a couple good blocking tight ends. Go to big people. Put extra offensive linemen on the field. Harbaugh's using Scott Matlock, who's like a 300-pound Boise State defensive tackle, as his fullback. The Eagles have the best, or the Ravens have the best fullback in the game. He's all pro. He's 300 pounds. He's a 300-pound offensive lineman. He's playing fullback.
Yeah.
Push the pile. Get bigger, stronger backs, bigger, stronger center, bigger, stronger guard, and run the ball in the low red zone the way the Commanders do, the Bills do, the Chiefs do, the Ravens do. I mean, the Eagles do. And now I realize a lot of that also is about those teams using their quarterback. Yeah. Okay, but guess what? Yes, there was a team that did it this weekend. They took their quarterback off the field, and it was Lamar, right? They took Lamar off the field, and they had the tight end direct snap to the tight end, and he ran into across the line in short yardage. Get creative, or use your quarterback, or find a bulldozer, or get a bigger center, find a bigger fullback, whatever. Figure it out. There's only a few people involved. Okay, it's a center, it's a running back, it's a fullback, and it's a guard. So bigger guards and center, bigger, more powerful fullback, stronger, harder to bring down running back. I mean, that's it. These are all the boxes. You know, fourth down conversion rate has nothing to do with your corner. It has nothing to do with who's playing safety. It has nothing to do with who's playing tight end or linebacker. You know, it's about your O-line, your back, and your fullback. So upgrade in those spots. Get better. You can't be this, we're going to pass the ball inside the 5 team, or you're never going to win a Super Bowl, period. End of story.
I agree. Beef up this. Bottom line, get rid of Jake Brendel, Larry. Get rid of Jake Brendel. He's not
And Juszczyk. Tell Juszczyk and his wife to tuck tail and beat it. Seriously, you sold enough jackets, honey. Goodbye. Seriously, I mean, it's over. The Niners don't even want to run the ball inside the 5, and they're one of like 4 teams in the league with a fullback. What does that tell you? It tells you they don't believe in their fullback's ability to uproot anybody out of the hole. So move on from him. Go use a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, these teams are still there because they take chances. They know on 4th and 1, nobody's stopping them. They know. They believe that nobody's stopping them. Tush push, right? People say, oh, the Eagles are tush push merchants. It works. You can't stop it. Commanders, 4th and 1, they're going to power it up the gut. They're going to use Jaden Danny. They're going to use their, their weapons. Josh Allen, you see that guy? That guy's a monster. He knows behind that center and that guard, he's going to get a first down. These quarterbacks, they know it. The Niners, if you put Brock Purdy and try to run behind Jake Brendel, he's getting stuffed. Fix that O-line. We've been saying it all year, man. Jake Brendel. The left guard situation was a mess this year. Aaron Banks was hurt. He's gone. Pooney's great, but you need another left guard to match that right side and absolutely beef the trenches. If the 49ers don't build the trenches up this offseason, Larry, I'm going to be sick. Just figure it out.
We got somebody in the chat. It's like, Juice is a good blocker. Juice is a good blocker. Well, if he's a good blocker, how come the Niners can't run the ball in short yardage? How come they're not even trying to run the ball in short yardage? If he's such a good blocker, how come they don't run it well? And by the way, if you're going to pay your fullback $3.6 million, why can't you hand it to him on 4th and goal from the 1? The Niners don't even try to run Juszczyk as a low. He's not a good short yardage runner. Otherwise, they'd hand him the ball. They don't. They do not hand him the ball. And they don't have success. The Niners' problem is that when everybody knows they have to pass, it's jailbreak on the quarterback, and Brock's running for his life. And when everybody knows they're going to run, they can't run.
Yeah.
You have to be able to run when everybody in the joint knows you're going to run. You got to be able to pass when everybody knows you have to pass. You're not always going to be in this first quarter mode of the run and pass are equal at all times. You're not always going to be able to fool everybody all the time. Sometimes you're going to get into passing situations. You have to be able to pass in passing situations, and you have to be able to run in running situations. And the 49ers can't do either, and that's largely their big problem on the offensive side of the ball. Their O-line doesn't move anybody. Their fullback is old. Their running backs are, they got good running backs, but like CMC doesn't move the pile. JP Mason has got kind of a small man's game. Guarendo's a sprinter who fumbles when he runs into people's backs. They don't have that big power back that hits the ground and he just gets yards after contact. They need that back. To me, the Rutgers back. Go look at the Rutgers back. His name's Kyle Monangi. He never goes down first time. He always spins off of it and gets more yardage. Get that kind of a back. Go get a new fullback, or better yet, do it when Harbaugh was here. He used Will Tukuafu as the fullback. Stop paying a fullback $3 million. You're paying your quarterback $50 million. You can't afford a mascot fullback making $3 million. Go get yourself a big-bodied guy who can blow people out of the hole. Otherwise, what are you doing? Why have a mascot fullback if you're not going to use him?
I'm loving you taking Juice out of the show, man.
I mean, come on, man. Juice has made enough money. Get lost. Move on. Seriously, move Juice on.
He
All
got
right.
on Larry.
Juice told us in the locker room at the end of the year that he thinks he can play 4 more years.
No, I thought
I'm like, bro, you can't play 4 more plays.
He wants 4 more years of money. This guy gets so much money, bro. What does he do? What does he even do? He runs cardio out there. Oh,
dude,
man.
Seriously. I mean, what would you say you do here? You don't block anybody. You're not good in short yardage. They can't hand it to you. Your team doesn't even try to run on the goal line anymore. What would you say you do? Are you security? What are you? I don't get it. I'm not getting
security.
It. I mean,
I love it. No,
what exactly are you the bouncer? I mean, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Are you running is he running the fantasy football league or what? What are we doing here? What's Juice's contribution to this team? I think you can save that $3 million. I think you can find a defensive tackle and put him in there, and he'll be better than Juice for the league minimum.
I think so. I definitely think you got to get a guy that could take a lot less money than. The only way I would keep Juice is if you could convert him to tight end too, because they do need. I think he's a decent, receiving type player. Like he could be a good, second tight end on this team if you want to keep him around. That's the way you keep him around is make him tight end too. Because George Kittle, he's he's unbelievable, but they really have struck out on other tight ends. Maybe you could convert him to a tight end. He's relevant in that area. He does make some good catches here and there, but if you're paying him all that money to be this running back, this short yardage guy, this blocker, he's not doing any of that. And you're right. Him and his wife, they use this opportunity to go sell all their jackets. I agree with you on that. So definitely think they can get a cheaper option and instead of paying this guy $3 million to go and become an all-pro and Pro Bowler, because who else is there to vote for? There's really nobody else. So I agree.
It's not personal. It's business. And business-wise, he doesn't do anything for me anymore. So we need to move on. I'm not getting anything out of the fullback. I got to get something out of the fullback. Tommy Huxley says Hurts is the black Jimmy G string. Okay. There you go.
God,
Tommy, it's a memorable super chat. It's a memorable super chat.
Y'all killing me tonight.
That's gonna do it for us. Raj, what do you got cooking the rest of the week?
Not much this week. I'm just gonna be, laying low. Maybe I'll go live a couple. I've been live on Instagram a lot. But, just staying tuned, staying up top on the news. But honestly, kind of laying low a little bit right now. But I'll be live on Instagram through the week. But I don't know, man. Mascot fullback. That one took me out, Larry. I'm good for the night.
Yeah,
good.
Seriously. Good. Juice. I mean, seriously. Disneyland's got Mickey Mouse and the Niners have Juice. All right, this live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get that first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered to win the free Ricky Pearsall signed jersey. We'll award that on Super Bowl Sunday. For Raj, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Go be nice to your mascot.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.